now, and it's hot. He can't buy it. This is why he's fighting Drake. When you hit Drake, because he used the beat that he didn't actually use.
0 to 100.
Right, you see what I'm saying? So if he heard it and then he heard Drake's use it, but it wasn't a hit yet until Drake put the lines on it.
Picture it. Classic Drake. A timeless hit, one that snagged 2 Grammy nominations and dominated the airwaves. But what if I told you this same song got Drake slapped? Yes, slapped. And who's responsible? None other than Brother Love himself. When Diddy first dropped that video, his goal was clear: show the world a man basking in his passion and success. But as the years rolled on, that video took on a completely different meaning. Instead of aging gracefully, it aged like sour milk. Perspective really is a game changer, isn't it? Here's where things get juicy. Alongside the allegations from 2014 that Diddy mistreated a woman, there's another claim that sent shockwaves through the headlines. Diddy allegedly laid hands on Drake. Depending on which report you read, some say Diddy slapped him, others say he punched him. The details might vary, but one thing is certain: Diddy put his hands on Drake. Naturally, Diddy denied it all. Typical Brother Love move, right? But really, what drove Diddy to throw hands at Drake? What set him off? Whenever the rumor mill churns about Diddy, one thing's certain: 50 Cent will always have the tea. And you know what? 50 confirmed it. The rumored slap or punch wasn't just a random outburst. According to 50, Diddy felt that Drake had swiped a hit from him. It all comes down to this: Diddy's golden touch from the late 90s and early 2000s isn't what it used to be. Back then, he could hear a beat and instantly recognize a smash hit. Fast forward to the 2010s, and that spark had dimmed, fueling the rift between Diddy and Drake. What makes it even more surprising is how well the two got along at first. In 2010, Diddy featured Drake on the track Loving You No More from his album Last Train to Paris. Things seemed friendly enough. Drake even brought Diddy and Ma Dollar on stage at his 2013 OVO Fest. At the time, Drake described performing with Diddy as one of the best nights of his life. Drake once looked up to Diddy as a role model. As a kid, he admired him deeply. Who could have predicted that admiration would eventually turn into one of hip-hop's most infamous beefs? However, the vibe between Drake and Diddy started shifting after a certain night in 2014. During their performance at Club Live in Miami, the atmosphere took a sharp turn. It all went down like this. While they were on stage, Drake suddenly grabbed the microphone out of Diddy's hand, leaving Brother Love reaching out into empty air. The moment grew even more surreal as Diddy crouched down to scoop up another mic. The irony: this all happened as Drake performed Worst Behavior. Talk about staying on theme! Drake seemed to be fully channeling the song's title, turning a simple stage appearance into something far more memorable. Was it deliberate? Probably not. It felt more like a spur-of-the-moment move. Chances are Drake didn't even realize what had happened until the performance was over. Yet that one split-second grab became a turning point. Many believe it was the catalyst that ignited the now infamous beef between these two stars. What started as a minor stage incident set the stage for a full-blown feud that would escalate in the months to follow, eventually boiling over into something physical. Adding more fuel to the fire, tensions flared once again over the beat for 0 to 100. Producer Frank Dukes, who had previously worked with Diddy, created the melody and sent it on to another producer. This led to the beat that would eventually become a centerpiece of their ongoing conflict. Boy Wonder, aka Boy Wonder, was actually in the studio with Diddy when the melody from Frank Dukes came in. In that same session, Boy Wonder worked his magic, crafting the full beat that would become the now iconic track we all recognize. At first, Boy Wonder offered the finished beat to Diddy, but Brother Love turned it down, saying he wasn't interested. Then things took an interesting turn. Not long after rejecting the beat, Diddy changed his mind. He reached out to Drake, asking him to ghostwrite a track using the beat. Diddy also wanted Drake to lay down a verse so the two of them could appear on the song together. Drake recorded his part and sent it back to Diddy, but Brother Love wasn't impressed. Ultimately, Diddy decided not to use the track at all. This back and forth proves 50 Cent's point. Diddy's legendary ability to spot hits isn't what it used to be. In the 90s, he had a golden ear. Now, not so much. Even when a certified hit was handed to him, he couldn't recognize it. It's kind of wild to think about. Diddy, a man once synonymous with chart-topping success, now struggling to hear a hit. When Diddy passed on the track, Drake decided to hold on to it. He uploaded 0 to 100 on SoundCloud, and it blew up almost instantly. The song wasn't just another hit for Drake, it became one of his biggest tracks ever. After its release in July 2014, 0 to 100 quickly rose to prominence, dominating that year's music scene. Not only did it become one of the most talked about tracks of 2014, but many publications went so far as to call it one of the year's best songs. Since then, it's earned a platinum certification, solidifying its place as a milestone in Drake's career. What made it resonate? For one, the song's flow carried echoes of another Drake classic, Started from the Bottom. Its undeniable energy and sharp production led to wide-ranging success. 0 to 100 was featured in commercials, became part of the NBA 2K16 soundtrack, and even made an appearance during the 2014 BET Hip Hop Awards cypher. All of this success didn't sit well with Diddy. Watching a beat he initially dismissed turn into a chart-topping, award-nominated smash was clearly a sore point. Adding insult to injury, 0 to 100 snagged 2 Grammy nominations that same year, Best Rap Performance and Best Rap Song. Producer Boy One Day later chalked up the entire debacle to a misunderstanding. But you have to wonder, was it really supposed to be Diddy's record all along? What happened next turned the simmering tensions into a full-blown conflict. After the massive success of 0 to 100, Diddy's initial frustration over losing the track began to manifest publicly. He reportedly confronted Drake at a Miami club in December 2014, accusing him of not giving proper credit and saying the song should have been his. Witnesses at the time claimed the argument escalated quickly. Words were exchanged, and before anyone could intervene, things allegedly got physical. This wasn't just about a song anymore. It was about respect, about pride, and about the shifting dynamics of power in the music industry. For Diddy, who had long been an industry kingpin, this was a bitter reminder that the tides were turning. The young, dominant force that was Drake wasn't just rising, he was firmly establishing himself as a cultural and commercial juggernaut. For Drake, the incident highlighted the cost of being at the top. Success breeds envy, and in a business as cutthroat as hip-hop, even the smallest misunderstandings can turn into headline-grabbing drama. Despite the confrontation, Drake chose not to respond publicly. He let his work speak for itself, releasing more hits and continuing to climb the ranks. Meanwhile, Diddy's camp initially denied the altercation, brushing it off as rumors and exaggerations. However, over time, more details emerged, painting a picture of a heated moment where old-school industry politics clashed with the new guard's meteoric rise. The incident only fueled the media narrative. Headlines exploded with speculation, social media buzzed with fan theories, and every interview question seemed to come back to what really happened between Diddy and Drake. For weeks, the topic dominated hip-hop conversations, with everyone from DJs to bloggers weighing in. In the end, though, Drake's career didn't falter. If anything, the drama only added to his mystique. The man who once admired Diddy as a kid had now firmly cemented his place in the music world. And while Diddy continued to be a legend in his own right, this particular episode became a cautionary tale. Sometimes, passing on an opportunity can cost more than just a hit song. It can shift the entire narrative. In the aftermath of the club incident, the public fallout created a rift that neither Diddy nor Drake seemed particularly eager to mend. Diddy's pride had been bruised, not just by the loss of the song, but by the way Drake turned it into a global phenomenon without looking back. For Diddy, who had built his empire on hits and staying ahead of the curve, this was a moment of reckoning. How could someone who once dictated the sound of an era let such a major opportunity slip through his fingers? Meanwhile, Drake's star only rose higher. His 2014 album, If You're Reading This It's Too Late, which arrived shortly after the dust had settled, was another major triumph. The project was packed with hits that continued to solidify Drake's dominance in the industry. Tracks like Energy, Know Yourself, and Six God became anthems, further distancing Drake from the shadows of his predecessors. The album dropped unannounced and still debuted at #1 on the Billboard 200, showing just how untouchable Drake had become. Diddy, on the other hand, found himself at a crossroads. While he remained a respected figure and a business mogul, his musical relevance started to wane. The industry had shifted. New artists and producers were defining the sound of the moment, leaving Diddy to grapple with an uncomfortable reality. His golden touch didn't shine quite as brightly as it once did. Yet, ever the businessman, Diddy didn't let this slow him down. He refocused his energy on other ventures, from his Ciroc vodka empire to television projects and philanthropic efforts. But that lingering tension with Drake remained a sore point. Even though neither side publicly reignited the feud, fans and media outlets kept the story alive. Years later, references to the scuffle or sly remarks from other artists would bring the whole saga back into the spotlight. It had become a cautionary tale, a hip-hop mythos that reminded everyone how quickly fortunes could shift and how even the biggest players could stumble. For both Drake and Diddy, the conflict was less about the physical altercation and more about what it represented: the changing of the guard. Drake had moved from admiring legend to peer, and in doing so, he set the stage for a new era in music. The old king had been challenged, and while Diddy would always have his legacy, Drake had cemented his place at the top. Although producer Boy Wonder claimed the issue was resolved, Diddy's actions said otherwise. Later that same month, in July 2014, Diddy performed 0 to 100 during one of his shows, and the way he introduced the song made his feelings crystal clear. Diddy openly declared that the track had been stolen from him, setting the record straight, or at least his version of it. Things cooled down for a while, but the truce was short-lived. Several months later, the two crossed paths again at the very same Miami club where Drake had previously snatched the mic. This time, they were both there to celebrate DJ Khaled's 39th birthday party. Diddy reportedly approached Drake, wanting to revisit the issue. However, Drake, known as the Six God, played it cool. Too cool for Diddy's liking. He brushed off the attempt at conversation, clearly uninterested in rehashing the past. Diddy, however, wasn't about to let it go. As the party wound down and Drake prepared to leave, Diddy approached him once more, this time while Drake was seated in his car. What happened next remains murky, but one thing is certain: the confrontation escalated. Drake got out of his car to face Diddy, and before anyone could intervene, things turned physical. Diddy allegedly slapped Drake hard enough to trigger a scuffle. Reports swirled, with some claiming that Drake's shoulder was dislocated in the melee. Other stories went even further, suggesting Drake briefly ended up in a wheelchair. The truth behind these details may never be fully known, but one thing was clear. This was no minor disagreement. The feud had reached a boiling point. Diddy might have denied laying a hand on Drake, but others came forward to confirm it happened. In addition to 50 Cent, Charlemagne the God also vouched for the story, leaving no doubt that the infamous slap took place. Drake, however, kept his cool. He didn't respond with another confrontation, but there were others ready to step up on his behalf. Jay Prince, a respected figure in the rap world and a longtime Drake supporter, issued a stern warning to Diddy. He made it clear that Drake was like family to him, and he wouldn't tolerate any further disrespect from Brother Love. It wasn't until about a year later that Drake himself addressed the situation, and he did so through his music. On his track Went 4 p.m. in Calabasas, Drake appeared to fire several subtle shots at Diddy. With lines like, "Even had the OGs trying to press me per, ha 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 ha, no way out 'cause I'm already in it." Drake seemed to be mocking Diddy's attempts to intimidate him. The ha 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 line echoed a phrase from Diddy's classic track Can't Nobody Hold Me Down, while the No Way Out reference pointed directly to Diddy's debut album. Drake didn't stop there. In the same song, he repeated Diddy's famous catchphrase, take that, and even compared Diddy's denials to Leonardo DiCaprio's character in The Wolf of Wall Street. By borrowing Diddy's iconic lines and mocking his Breakfast Club interview, Drake's response was both clever and cutting. While the two appear to have put the feud behind them, the history remains. In hip-hop, peace can be fleeting, and as always, only time will tell if this truce will hold. In the years that followed, the tension between Drake and Diddy gradually faded from the headlines. Both artists moved on to new ventures and successes, making it seem like the feud was firmly in the past. Diddy continued expanding his empire beyond music, building on his ventures in television, spirits, and lifestyle brands. Meanwhile, Drake cemented his position as one of the most dominant figures in modern music, consistently breaking streaming records and releasing hit after hit. But the story didn't completely vanish. Fans, bloggers, and hip-hop aficionados still bring up the infamous slap, the 0 to 100 drama, and the lyrical jabs in Drake's music. It has become one of those moments that lives on in the culture, not because it's constantly reignited, but because it's a vivid reminder of how even the most powerful names in the industry aren't immune to personal conflicts. It's proof that in hip-hop, disputes often run deeper than the music, weaving into the fabric of each artist's legacy. For Diddy, the incident serves as a cautionary tale about adapting to a changing industry. While his contributions to hip-hop are undeniable, the conflict with Drake highlighted a moment when the old guard was challenged by a new generation. For Drake, it was a turning point, a moment where he shifted from being a rising star to a fully established heavyweight, capable of not only holding his own, but also coming out on top when challenged. Ultimately, the Drake-Diddy saga is more than just a chapter in hip-hop's ever-evolving history. It's a reminder that no one is untouchable, no one's legacy is written in stone, and sometimes the biggest moments come from the clashes that force the industry and the artists themselves to grow and change. Even as the feud cooled down, its ripple effects remained a hot topic in the hip-hop world. For years, fans speculated about the deeper reasons behind the drama, analyzing every lyric, interview, and side comment. What emerged from the conflict was a narrative that showed just how complicated relationships can be in the music industry. Both Diddy and Drake represented two very different eras, yet their paths crossed in a way that left a lasting impression on the culture. The drama also became a talking point for the evolving nature of hip-hop's hierarchy. Diddy, once the ultimate power broker in rap, was facing a new generation of artists who thrived in the digital age. These newer acts, led by Drake, weren't just rappers. They were full-fledged cultural phenomena, dominating social media, streaming platforms, and global stages. While Diddy's influence remained strong, this feud highlighted a shift in the balance of power. The game was no longer just about who had the biggest record label or the most famous friends. It was about who could adapt and maintain relevance in a fast-moving, ever-changing industry. Drake, for his part, kept pushing forward. Rather than dwell on the conflict, he released more hit records, broke streaming milestones, and continued to build his empire. His approach showed that sometimes the best response isn't retaliation, but success. By staying focused and consistently delivering chart-topping music, Drake proved that his career wouldn't be defined by one beef or one incident. Instead, it would be defined by his work ethic, his versatility, and his ability to connect with audiences on a global scale. Ultimately, the Diddy-Drake saga is more than just a footnote in hip-hop history. It's a reminder of the ever-changing nature of the genre, where legacy acts must find their footing alongside emerging giants. And while the beef may no longer be front-page news, its impact continues to influence the way the industry, and its biggest stars, navigate the spotlight. As the years rolled on, the story of Diddy and Drake became less about the actual events and more about the lessons learned. It's a tale of missteps and misunderstandings, but also one of resilience and reinvention. Both men came out the other side stronger, wiser, and more focused on their respective futures. Diddy, the icon who defined an era, reminded everyone that while the spotlight might shift, a true legend's legacy remains untouchable. He used the moment as fuel to expand his empire, refocusing on his entrepreneurial ventures and continuing to mentor the next generation. For Drake, the sixth god who rose from underdog to industry powerhouse, the conflict showed that even when challenged by the greats, staying cool, consistent, and creative can keep you on top. He turned a turbulent moment into just another milestone on his way to becoming one of the biggest stars of his time. And so, the story of Diddy and Drake isn't just about a beat, a slap, or a few cutting lyrics. It's about evolution, about how two cultural giants navigated their differences and kept moving forward. It's a chapter in hip-hop's ever-changing story, one that reminds us of the genre's constant push and pull between the old school and the new wave. As the dust settled, both men continued to leave their mark in their own ways. Their paths may have diverged, but their influence on the culture remained undeniable. And who knows, maybe one day their story will come full circle. After all, in hip-hop, the unexpected is always just around the corner. Until then, we'll keep watching, keep listening, and keep talking about the moments that make this genre so electrifying. Thanks for joining me on this wild ride through the Diddy Drake saga. Until next time,